Hi, my name is Josh Robbins, and I'm going to do a presentation today on an event I've been planning over the past couple of months or so. So the event is for the up-and-coming record label, Black Hill. I just point out it's an amazing label. And it's basically for its first tour. So the idea of the label is that it groups together a few local acts, and those acts will tour around together and support each other, etc., etc. So why? Well, so basically the reason is because the label is up and coming, and so it's a great way basically to promote the label and just go, hey, not only look at how amazing the label is, but look at kind of, you know, how amazing the local talent is. And I also I have a set date, which is the first Saturday of June, which I do, no, sorry, the second Saturday of June, which will be the 13th, I do believe, and that is because it's a Saturday, which means, you know, people, especially in the local area, the kind of target audience would be sort of a mid to later years kind of thing. And so on a Saturday night, they'd like to, you know, go out and see stuff, so live music is a great way to do that. And also, as it's in the middle of June, it's brilliant because it's just near the start of the festival season. The festival season starts late May, so at the start, sort of middle of June, everyone's kind of still pumped up and ready for live music, you know. Whereas if you do something like that in August, then you're just overwhelmed by it all, and it gets a bit repetitive and dull, and, you know, people get bored of it. So possible acts would be the three kind of main acts that will be signed to the label, who are they're called Sarah and Heron, Natalie Holman, and a band, apologies, of course, called Heat the Thunder. Sorry. So yeah, and the three of them are all very different in their own ways, and they're also, like, Sarah and Natalie especially are also fairly similar in the sense that it's just them and a guitar, but they're kind of different genres and stuff, so it all, you know, it's all a variety and it works out quite nicely. So the possible running order, so this would change throughout the tour, but for the first night I just kind of thought that Natalie could open the night. Nice kind of mellow start, and then have a nice energetic middle with Heat the Thunder, which are a really good band, kind of indie, kind of folky kind of band, which is cool. And then end with a beautiful Sarah and Heron, which is nice and acoustic and, you know, mellow again, and it's just a really nice way to kind of, you know, end a Saturday evening. And the kind of time frame is really, each set's between a half hour to 45 minutes with a 15-minute break in between, so people can go to the toilet and get drinks, etc. The venue I've chosen, which I think would be ideal to kick off the tour, would be the Courtyard, which is Hereford's main kind of a venue for all of that kind of stuff. Like, I wouldn't call it an arena as such, but, you know. And also I've chosen the smaller studio because the main arena has about 420 seats, I do believe, whereas the small arena has about 130, so it's much nicer and smaller and much more realistic as well to fill out, because, you know, a massive venue would be quite tough to fill. Equipment, well, that would be fairly simple. Black Hill are kind of an association with a studio, like, well, it's multiple studios called the Chapel Arts, which basically will provide most of the kit, so we can take over mics and PA if necessary to reduce costs and stuff like that. And we'd also we could also take over personnel as well. Like, I I would probably host it, because I've had experience in the past of hosting web TV music gigs which have gone down quite well. And I would also gather a few sort of colleagues from the label who would help to do sound and stuff like that. And the only thing we would really ask the venue for would be someone to be at the door, really, to save from overcrowding and stuff, and show people where their seats are. The budget, well, the budget, because as I said, it's an up-and-coming label, they will give me about £1,000-ish for the gig, which then the profit would be split between like the label and all the artists as well. And then for the label, it will just basically run. The profit will be used for the venue cost. Excuse me, because my numbers aren't exactly amazing. £192. There we go for the evening. So that's it's dead cheap compared to sort of a massive kind of venue. So, and then if we sell it something like £5 a ticket, then bound to do quite well on that front. And also the only other costs really would be personnel, which would be our own staff, so they could probably have a fairly not reduced, but like a fairly low sort of wage, because in theory they love the label and so will do anything for it, kind of thing. At least that's my theory anyway. Legal and ethical issues. Well, the main legal issue would be the PRS licensing. Which I would if I wanted to play music before the event, like when people are coming in, and then a little bit after, I'd need to make sure that the venue has a PRS account. Otherwise, it would be breaking the law and probably wouldn't be very good, really. The PRS would also be quite useful and quite frankly necessary if one of the artists were to do a cover, for example, so that would be needed. And ethical issues, well, the main ethical issue really would be kind of language, so we'd have to make sure that the artist and like the MC, which would be myself, like don't use kind of like swear or use discriminatory language or anything like that, anything that could offend anyone really, though, yeah. And so yeah, have a risk assessment which basically goes through all the usual stuff. So we'd have to, like I said earlier, we'd have someone on the door to make sure it didn't overcrowd, because that wouldn't be good. We'd need to beforehand check that the cables are like safe, so don't electrocute anyone, and B, taped down to the floor so nobody trips over, which in a city like Hereford, as there are quite a lot of people with visual impairment, would be quite necessary. And there's also other stuff, like we need to make sure things like sound levels are at a certain frequency so as to not deafen people and destroy equipment, etc. And so yeah, all the stuff like that basically. And though I haven't actually put it on the PowerPoint, I've just quickly kind of mentioned that the target audience, I did briefly mention it earlier, would be kind of, I would be looking for mainly kind of the middle-aged to older people, but then also it would be quite nice, sort of like, I imagine it would be a nice thing for families to come to, so as it's not, as most of it's acoustic, it would be quite nice and chilled, so I imagine some people, so 13 onwards or something like that would probably enjoy it if they're into music. Obviously little kids would just get bored, so it wouldn't be great, but I imagine it's, like, the way I see it, it would be a nice kind of family event, and it would just, and at such a small venue like that, it would be really nice as well. So yeah, do we have any questions from the room?
Where are you going to sell the tickets?
Where am I going to sell tickets? That's a very good question. I think we'd sell them on the door. We'd, if we promote it via social networking and on the website and stuff, then say, like, I was thinking of like a £5 a ticket, which would get people in, and so if they then turn up to the door, so and get it that way.
Okay.
And then we don't necessarily have to pay out on expensive ticketing systems and stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Would you say in your target audience you'd like families to go? Would you then say if you had children, would you have an adult price and a child price? Because if you're having, say if you've got a family of 4, then you're charging them a £5 each, and there's 2 kids.
Yeah, I think we would obviously have like kids going some like £2 or something like that, much cheaper, or even for some like under 10s or something, go free or something like that, just to entice families to come in. So yeah, any other questions yet, Alex?
Where would you hold the event?
The courtyard.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact name for it, but it's the little studio which is downstairs. Anyone who knows Hereford, it's a nice little place.
I mean, you seem to be relying quite heavily on the goodwill of your staff in this thing. So, I mean, have you got any idea how many tickets you need to sell in order to actually turn that profit?
If I'm honest, I haven't done the proper maths, but I imagine it would be around, if I could sell sort of 80 to 100 tickets, I should be okay.
Okay.
Josh?
Yeah.
Have you kind of got any backup plans in case anything goes wrong?
I would have backup plans. Like for example, if the like staff here run it, like my colleagues run able to make it or something, they do. The venue do provide like sound engineers and stuff, but they just charge a little bit extra. So we would consider that as well.
Okay.
Have you looked at any other sort of forms of sponsorship for this?
I haven't, but that is a very good idea. I should look to do that in the future.
What kind of stage design are you going for?
Stage design, well, the stage isn't a stage as such. In terms of it, it's literally just it's just a nice kind of oblong kind of shape of the floor, and so we'd have if it's just Natalie or Sarah, for example, we'd have just them and a guitar kind of in the centre of the stage, and have a PA, a Mac either side kind of thing, and then fairly basic, because it's nice and little, so there's no need to go all out, I think, really. Yeah,
No.
cool.
No, great.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, very good. Very good.